Howdy, kids. Today we're going to be learning about Africa.
Hey kids, today we're going to be talking about Africa and the geography of Africa most importantly. The first thing you're going to see on your notes is that there's four words. I'd like you to pause the video right now and define those four words. You can use the books in the room to define those four words. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is Africa. So, Africa formed millions and millions of years ago. It actually formed 65 million years ago when Africa and South America were once connected. You might have learned about that in your science class because there was a thing called Pangea. And yes, you do see my cat. Her name is Peyton. Anyway, so at least 65 million years ago, forces on the Earth's surface pulled them apart into separate continents. So that was called Pangea, and if you watch them, they fit together like puzzle pieces on a map. Scientists, as we've talked about this in class before, scientists also believe that eventually those continents, all the continents, will push back together. So today, Africa is the second largest continent on Earth, and it includes more than 50 countries. Okay, the geography of Africa is a land of very diverse climates and landforms. If you could imagine, they have hot deserts, icy mountain peaks, marshy swamps, high plateaus, one of your vocab words, thick rainforests, and rolling grassland. All of these landforms and others can be found in Africa. Africa can be divided into four main regions: north, west, east, and then central and southern is one. Some scientists believe that central and southern could be separated, but for our case, we're going to say central and southern Africa is separated, but still we're only going to do four. That might be a little bit confusing. So central and southern Africa. Now, the regions of Africa, North Africa is home to the Sahara, the world's largest desert. It features rocky mountains as well, like the Atlas Mountains, which you will label on a map. The most populated region is West Africa. We call West Africa Sub-Saharan Africa because it sits below the Sahara Desert. So sub, beneath, Sahara, beneath the Sahara. It consists mainly of fertile grassland. So if you look at the type of people, and we'll talk about this later on, but the type of people that exist in these areas are based on their physical geography. The Sahara Desert has a lot of Arabs that live north of it, and the beneath the Sahara, the sub-Saharan Africans are mainly black Africans. Um, East Africa East Africa features mountains and plateaus. It includes grasslands and hills. It actually also includes one of the coolest physical features in the world called the not the Great Barrier Reef. I was going to say Great Barrier Reef. It is actually the Great Rift Valley, and that is awesome. We will talk about that. Central and Southern Africa features flat, rolling grasslands and has rainforests, mountains, and swamps, and is also home for the Namib and Kalahari deserts. Africa is also often called the plateau continent because of its high, mostly level lands with sharp drop-offs. Coastal plains run along most of Africa's coasts, and in some areas, the coastal plains and in long, steep valleys, they lead to plateaus. So there's a lot of different physical features in Africa. Mountains are found throughout Africa, And Mount Kilimanjaro in East Africa is the continent's tallest mountain. Mount Kilimanjaro is located on the edge of the Great Rift Valley. The Great Rift Valley was formed when the continents tried to pull apart, and most of Africa's major lakes are found in or around or near the Great Rift Valley. Africa has 4 major rivers: the Nile, the Congo, the Niger, and the Zambezi. People use the rivers and their tributaries, another vocab word, to irrigate farmlands, you should know what irrigate means, and for fishing. Strong currents on many of the rivers help produce hydroelectricity. Travel is possible on sections of Africa's rivers, but most of the parts of the rivers are non-navigable. That means you can't be on that. The rivers in Africa. The Nile River is the longest river in the world. You should have noted that. You should have known that. Has irrigated farmland for thousands of years. It flows north to the Mediterranean Sea. The Congo River. The Congo River is the second largest river in Africa. It flows through the rainforests of Central Africa. The Niger River. The Niger River is the third longest river, and it begins in Guinea in West Africa. And the Zambezi is Africa's 4th longest river. It runs through or forms the border of 6 different countries, and it actually features Victoria Falls. Okay, so I know this lecture sounded a little bit like I was reading it, and that's because I was. I hope you got all the answers you needed, and I will see you next time.
I'd love to talk more, kids, but I gotta roll.